Good morning. Welcome to Tip Off. No dog being walked via the car yet this morning. I've been sitting here waiting, hoping that maybe that would take place again, so we could have a laugh about that. And I have no Radio Disney. I have no dog story for you this morning. I hope you're well. I hope you're enjoying these. I'm trying to figure out if they're getting any traction or not. Bunch of stuff. The first vocally, I guess is how you pronounce it. That's the we tested this. If you haven't checked it out already, it's VOKLE. It's pretty cool. I'm going to do a lunch hour with Locke Tuesday from Oklahoma City because there's not a damn thing worth doing in Oklahoma City, so I might as well do it vocally. I mean, there's just not. It's nothing there. Might as well stay in the hotel room and hang out. So we'll do noon Tuesday on the third game of a back-to-back-to-back. I would keep an eye out for others possibly when I'm on the road a little bit, but we'll schedule that one. We'll try to see if we schedule these, if we get a turnout. Hopefully go an hour. There's actually a possibility I can get a guest. The way Vocally works, it's really cool. All of a sudden yesterday, my Twitter feed got a bunch of people asking about Bowler Jack, Locke, and Gerard. I thought, but you never should assume. You know what it does? It makes an ass out of you and me. So the story is Spence Checketts and Scotty Gerard have that show. Really, for me, for kind of 2 years, that's what I had hoped for, was to put the talk radio beside, try to build this web portal, and get this kind of rolling and see if we could do something that no team announcer has ever done before. So this is kind of where I'm trying to prove myself now as my next task, along with calling games and improving at that every day. The thought process behind it, just so everybody knows, was really a consistency issue. That there was just a feeling that with me doing 3 days a week and Bowler doing 2 days a week, we weren't serving the audience very well. The opportunity to get Spence, who the company really likes, to take over the show meant that they thought that was a better choice. And, probably pretty hard to argue with that. I think the 3 days a week, 2 days a week, I guess for some people heard it. The ratings were still good. The afternoon show actually was still kicking along in its time slot as the number one show. But and then also the summers, and just there was no way to there was a kind of, can you amp it up? Can you go back to being on more? And it's not if I'm going to stay married and have 2 kids that I know. So anyway, that's kind of the story there. That might be. Hopefully that's not more information than I'm supposed to give you. I'm not big into the hide information in this day and age. Let's just tell you what's going on. That's the thought process. I thought it's pretty well thought out. It's not some whim thing. And I think they'll be right. I listened to Spence and Scotty yesterday. I thought they sounded good. So it was good. Chris Mannix, nice guest. Jeff Van Gundy's a nice guest. They obviously they've amped the guest element up a little bit on that show, and hopefully you'll enjoy it. Let's talk about a bunch of stuff going on. There's some NBA things that I'll try to get to, but let's start with Paul Millsap not making the All-Star team. A lot of venom came across from various people. It's a bummer because I think we love Paul, and it would have been such a nice honor for Paul. But I got to admit, if I was a coach, and even though Dirk's not having a great year, particularly in this shortened season, I think there's just a level that certain guys, even if they're off a little, deserve to go to the All-Star game. Frankly, I thought Pau Gasol was in that list, and he didn't make the All-Star game. I'm not sure who I would bump for Gasol for Pau, but Dirk over Paul. There's an argument maybe that Paul's had a better season, though. Dallas has a better record than the Jazz, and Dirk's the best team with a better record. And the other thought really on this is I just think it's an incredible honor to Paul that the conversation's being had. Really, maybe the ultimate tribute to his career. Second-round draft pick who had to make the team. Then he makes the team. Then he has to prove he can start. A lot of us didn't know if he could start, including myself. Then he has to prove whether he can be a frontline power forward on a winning team. He's done that for the most part. I still think there's still some questions there, but I'd love to see him sometimes put with somebody other than Jefferson to be able to answer that question. And now he's talked about being an All-Star. What an amazing tribute. I mean, how easy is it to buy your 24 jersey and wear that around when you have a guy like Paul Millsap? And that's, those are the kind of stories, that kind of veteran leadership is what you're hopefully getting across to Favors and Cantor and Hayward and Burks right now, and that's the whole point of this season. One note on, I don't know if you guys are feeling this as well. One note on Hayward Burks. Um, this season is moving along pretty fast, and I'm suddenly wanting a little more out of those guys. Uh, uh, I've noticed, like, come on, Derek, come on, Faves, let's go. I don't love the three DNPs in a row for Burks, obviously. Like, let's get our minutes in. The fact that Derek has only played 20 minutes in one out of the last 7 or 8 games, um, and by the way, and the defense has disappeared in that span. Coincidental or not, I don't know, but that's to me that's a really interesting little corollary there. That Favors has stopped playing as much, and the defense has gone away. And I don't know if those are related. Obviously, the coaching staff wouldn't think so, and they're pretty on these things. But the point of what I was going to say was not that. That was just a random thought that flashed into my head at 6, whatever in the morning. The point of what I was going to say is I think the fatiguing element of the season is going to be in contrast to what we're asking out of these guys. We're going to be pushing, want to see these breakthroughs. I thought we saw it for Derek for like 3 or 4 days. And then now the fatigue's going to kick in, and I think we're going to see regression at times. And we probably have to stop for a second and try to figure that out. I will try to do a good job with that, but I can see I'm already not doing a very good job. So let's keep an eye on that. The bigger issue to me with Paul Millsap right now is getting him back on track. I mean, our whole All-Star conversation is fabulous, but the other reality on what's going on with Paul is in the last 7 games, he's shooting 45% and getting 11 shots a game. In the 13 previous, so really just eliminating the first 4 kind of disasters, he was getting 3 more shots a game and shooting 57%. And you just kind of wonder, he had that 10-game stretch in there where he shot 57%. He averaged 23 points and 10 rebounds. And I think defenses decided to zero in on him and have taken a different approach to him, realized we don't have three-point shooting, have dug down on him, and now Paul is getting the same treatment that Dirk and Powell and LaMarcus Aldridge and a bunch of these guys get. Maybe on the road, if I get a chance, I'll try to dig in on this a little bit. And to see where the defense is different if I can. And this might be, we may have, I don't know. I never want to say we've hit the limit of what Paul can do because he's always surpassed it. So that's probably not fair. But this is interesting to watch because he's suddenly not getting his shots off, which is either Jefferson's maintaining the ball too much or that he's just not finding a way. And really, the other one, I'm not sure he has a go-to move, really. You know, LaMarcus certainly does have that go-to move. Powell certainly has that go-to move. You know, and those guys are all 3 to 4 inches taller than Paul, so it's easy. They can get their shot off at all times. Paul's got to creatively figure it out each time. So this is a tough task for him. I think it's going to be very, very curious to watch. The other thing we've talked about a lot is I think there has to be an attempt, and this is me being a numbers geek, and you know this is probably one of those classic examples where I go pick up the numbers here and they don't necessarily translate to reality, but let me try it anyway. And the thought is that I think that there has to be some effort by the Jazz to redistribute some of their possessions. So right now Jefferson's getting 20 possessions a game, and Millsap's getting 16. And then the next closest possession use on the Jazz are 11 for Gordon, 11 for CJ, 11 for Josh, 11 for Devin, 9 for Faves. And I think there's got to be a way with Paul being so much better than everybody else on the roster and how he uses a possession. I mean, just other than actually Raj is the best, but then it's not even close. Like on points per possession used, Al Jefferson is 0.94 and Paul Millsap is 1.03. I mean, it's almost 0.1. Now, back to what we just talked about a moment ago. This is where numbers fall apart. Is Paul having a hard time getting shots off? Why is Paul not getting his shots as often as he was? What's going on in that regard? And I think there's got to be something done here to try to balance this out. Now, it may be a reality that Al uses 20 possessions a night. Then let's see if we can find times when Paul's on the floor without Al to be able to get himself some possessions that wouldn't otherwise be going to him. Now, you probably means you're taking some possessions away from Favors, but Favors is really one of the worst possession users on the team. It probably means that Cantor, who's only getting 6 possessions a game, goes down. But there's some angle here where the Jazz probably need to find a way to improve in that category of how they're distributing their possessions right now. And to me, that's a little bit of an issue that's facing this team. All right, OKC tonight. Tickets are available. Love to have you come out and join them. And then a great ticket package is also available for the Miami Heat game, which is Friday, March 2nd. That's coming up as well as we that includes the Washington game on the 17th, which is a Friday, and then the game against Detroit on the 12th, and they're all packaged together, really. You're just paying for Miami, getting the other 2 games for free. So call 325-2999. That's 325-2999. Few things about the NBA, and then I'll get to some Locke Tip Offs. I know some people are upset I haven't recently. I've told you this all year, that with the truncated schedule, I really think 500 is going to be close to getting you in the playoffs. There's only one bad team in the Western Conference. That's New Orleans. Everybody else can beat you. Last night was crazy. I mean, Sacramento beats Oklahoma City, and Golden State beats Denver. By the way, Golden State is a half game up on Sacramento to be where we get that pick right now. We really need Golden State to continue to win a little bit. It's getting tight. So just keep watching that. Houston is on fire, and what's really interesting about what's going on with Houston is Houston has stopped playing Kevin Martin. So here's a guy who's an all-offense, no-defense player, and they've stopped playing him. He's playing like 15 minutes a night, basically starting but coming off the bench as a bit player and doing a little bit of his offensive stuff, but not playing defense, and they're winning games. I mean, this league has got to start valuing the 90 possessions on the defensive end that exist with the 90 offensive possessions. And, what's really interesting about that is the fact that Martin is a good offensive player. So he's a highly efficient offensive player. You get the highly efficient offensive player, or you should be able to cover up your defensive weaknesses. That's kind of always what I've thought on him. But suddenly they're not playing him, playing other guys, and stunningly, it's working out. The other angle on that is, when you have an inefficient offensive player who's getting a lot of minutes and a lot of possessions, and he's not a good defensive player, then maybe that's even more eye-opening. That's Carmelo and some other guys. Nuggets have lost 5 in a row. They seem incredibly fatigued after their back-to-back-to-back, and they lost Gallinari, who I've been telling you all year is incredible. All right, let's go to the questions. Wes Golfer 23, do you think the Jazz should make a trade for Steph Curry? Steph Curry, anybody watch him last night? I doubt it. He wasn't on national television. He had like 36. He was unbelievable. He's brilliant. If his ankle is healthy, he's great. And, of course, the Jazz should, but why would the Warriors ever give up probably their key piece to the future? Remember, the other teams are trying to win too. Over under 15 points for KD while G-Time is guarding him. Well over. I mean, Gordon's length has been the thing he's been able to do well, and Durant's much longer. I think this is, Durant's the greatest scorer in this league. I'm not sure there's any way for Gordon to be able to guard him very well tonight, but he'll do the best he can. And Gordon's playing well. I don't know if people have picked that up, but it's not. He's probably not as great as we want, but we all have high expectations. But last 7 games, 14 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 47% shooting, 28 from 3, double figures in 6 of the last 7. Let's see. I get the Burks needs to value possessions, but I don't think he's going to learn that by playing. It's hard to learn the value. Right, but right now, the value of possessions when you don't play. Yeah, or we saw Jimmer sat for 2 days, and he's been better since he sat. So sometimes this opens up. Hopefully, Burks gets an understanding of it by watching a little bit. As I said the other day, I think Josh Howard and C.J. Miles need to play better. If Burks is not going to play, I'm sure that Tyrone agrees with me on that. But Burks does need to value possessions, and it's hard for us to sit here, for the coaches to just roll him out there, because when he doesn't value possessions, he is ending up, he's hurting the team. And that's really what it comes down to. So I think that's one of the issues. A lot of then Locke Tip Off questions came in about Gasol and Dirk making the All-Star game. I think I've given that. Somebody thinks I should. KG Poggi is one of my legitimate constant questioners. Says I should be giving 5 to 10 minutes. Odds to Mari Carroll getting into a game against OKC. It's a full year contract, I believe. I think he's with the team for the rest of the year. That's just they picked up a 14th guy they like because they're about to head into a brutal stretch of the schedule, and I think they need guys. And if they do make a trade, it's better to have him on the roster now, but it's not necessarily a precursor of that. And then David J. Smith wants to know, do I think Jeremy Lin would be getting this much attention if he wasn't in a Knicks uniform? I think he's getting more because he's in a Knicks uniform, but the Asian impact and the fact that he is historical, I think, is the bigger issue. All right, come on out. Join us at the Jazz game. 325-2999 are the tickets. Remember, our Vocally show is Tuesday at noon. I will try to check base with you in some capacity over the weekend to recap OKC and get ready for Memphis on Sunday. Otherwise, I'll hit you Monday on tip-off. We will be in New Orleans by then on a crazy back-to-back-to-back set here. Realize something crazy. Another note, Oklahoma City plays the Jazz tonight. Do not play again until they play the Jazz again on Wednesday. Jazz will, in that time, have played 2 other games. Oklahoma City's dog tired tonight. Jazz could get this one. Be a really nice win for them. All right, see you guys.